Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to have a look at XRP. Now, XRP is only a coin that we've really covered on this channel in altcoin comparison videos, where I take a look at multiple altcoins and see how they've performed over a select period of time or select periods of time, and just checked out the return on investments. But today I thought it'd be worth going over XRP, just giving it its own video, because it is a coin that has stood the test of time. You know, it's one of those veteran coins like Litecoin or Monero, and we can probably glean a lot from XRP. And it would probably be a good idea to sort of compare these old coins together, like XRP, Monero, and Litecoin, and see what they've all done over the same period of time, because they are all sort of around 2014, 2013 when we have actual data, price data to use for them. So comment down below if that's something you'd want, or if you just prefer much higher altcoin caps, even though XRP is like number 5 in terms of altcoins. Maybe you prefer more popular ones. Let me know what altcoins you'd like to have compared to each other down in the comments. Anyway, getting into it, there's not really too much that I want to go into on XRP. The first thing that stood out to me when I looked at this chart was the two divides that has been made with XRP, how we sort of moved out of this range into a brand new one. And we've been in that range ever since, and even recently we've kind of been evening out more. We've been tending towards the middle of this range more and more often. And I could have probably drawn a line of some sort like this, very rough and ready line, just like this, to sort of show the range we've operated in since basically 2020, and with the exception of the Bullrun, but you know, we didn't really deviate too far from it, and we deviated for a while, but we ultimately did come back into this range, and we've stayed within this range. And I think, to be honest with you, getting it straight out of the way, you know, if this is what you're here for, where I think XRP will go in the Bullrun, I think it'll look quite similar. And there's one catalyst that could make that different, and that's the fact that XRP won its case against the SEC, and it is not a security in the United States of America. So there could be big potential for a lot of money to move into XRP, as investors see it as a safer bet and free from regulatory scrutiny. But time will just have to tell on that one. And anyway, we'll go into it a little more, but I do want to sort of point out where I think it will go based on what's happened before. Again, zooming out a little, we have our sort of 3 pre-halving time zones. And what's not strange about XRP is that what's quite normal about XRP, to be honest with you, is that it hasn't played out the same way each time. Not exactly. And what I mean by that is terms of trends. So sort of monthly trends, you know, half a year sort of time frames. What did XRP do before and after the halving? And if we zoom into the 2016 halving, we can see that as XRP got closer to the halving, it started to trend down. And you could make an argument that it traded sideways basically for over a year before the halving, and that is a valid argument. You could say like a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, and you could argue it was a Wyckoff. I don't think it really fits a Wyckoff, but you could argue it traded sideways or traded down. I personally think down, because even if you want to extend this line out, it's still going down. It's just the fact that you have these lower lows that XRP broke down below. So in a way, it showed even more weakness. It broke down below this support, and then it finally put it up one. So I'm going to say trending down. And then afterwards, it basically trends sideways until we have our bull run. And then XRP goes crazy. And that's when we actually break out of this range that we had been in ever since XRP had established a significant price. If we take a look at the one in 2020, zooming in, we can see XRP trended down, you know, leading up to the halving for about a year, leading up to the halving. And again, you could even argue longer than a year. I mean, if you want to move that here, it doesn't really fit, but it is a trend down technically, and you could put that here and say it was a trend down. I'm going to leave it as it was, just because it makes it more clear about what I want to show. But again, I'm kind of pretty definitive on saying XRP trended down towards the halving. And then as we got closer to the halving and after the halving, XRP immediately started trending upwards. And we can see this sort of 22-week period that I drew. That's when we started to, initially here, that's when we started to trend down. It was about 22 weeks when we had this big pump. We started trending down. And if we just quickly take a look at this 22 weeks here, we can see we sort of don't really start trending down here. I mean, we have a little sell-off, then we have a rally, and then we properly collapse. But realistically, we started trending down a long time before. And then after the halving, we start trending up, but very slowly. And even during the bull run, I mean, XRP does well, but it doesn't do half as well as its last bull run. The price, it doesn't even break its all-time high, which is kind of a not very good sign. But again, this was during the whole regulatory scrutiny and being sued by the SEC in America. So, you know, whether you want to excuse XRP for its poor price action because of that, you'd be well within your right. I probably would lean towards that way, but I also do seem to find that these older cryptos don't tend to perform as well as time goes on. And I'm not saying they don't continue to go up, but I'm just saying unless it's been Bitcoin, the older the crypto, the likelier the chances are that it won't put in a new all-time high. And that's why even when I look at cryptos like Cardano, which were launched back in 2017, I kind of start to wonder myself, how long does it take for a crypto to become an old crypto, if you will? Or where does it enter that stage where it's old? And for me, it's probably around the 5-6 year time range when it starts to get into these ranges. Now, XRP, naturally, after 3 years blew up. But after that, it's been in this range for close to basically since Cardano's existed. And it's gone sideways. I kind of want to maybe start to suspect something like that happening with Cardano. But I don't know. Again, totally different video. Go check out my Cardano video if you want to learn more about that and what I think. But getting back to it, basically, trended down, trended up on the second, trended down, didn't trend, just went sideways on the first one. And now where we are currently, if we zoom right in, we can see we've been trending up to the halving. However, there is sort of a argument to be made that we have been trending down, and you could take it from where this orange line begins. And you can see I've drawn the 22 week here. Not really too important, to be honest with you. It didn't play out similarly the second halving, so there's no real reason to have it here, but I just thought I'd throw it there anyway. You could argue we've started trending down, and again, from this point, we've been trending downwards technically, even though we have been putting in higher lows, we've also been putting in lower highs. So it's basically creating a pinch now. And as you can see, like sooner or later, this is the weekly chart, so we probably have longer than you think if you thought this was the daily. But we've probably got another 2 or 3 weeks before something has to happen, to be honest with you, in terms of price-wise, whether it's extremely bullish or extremely bearish. And that's kind of up to you to make a decision on where you think it will go. For me, having seen that there is usually some sort of a bad move before the halving, I would lean towards a bearish side. But also, this is the first time where XRP has actively trended up leading up to the halving. And we can see it's been doing this for over a year, basically, which is extremely unique because oftentimes XRP trades down with an argument to be made that it could have traded sideways. Definitely not for this guy, it traded down. 100% in the 2020 halving. 2016, you could argue maybe it traded sideways, it just traded within this range, but you had lower highs, and for a lot of the time you had lower lows. So, I would lean towards trading down. This guy, I don't think you can argue that it's only traded up. The trend has been up. So it's kind of thrown a spanner in the works in terms of where it's going to go. And again, I think this is sort of because the SEC security ruling, the court ruling that XRP is not a security, which is extremely bullish for the crypto space. We all know Gary has it out for crypto. He's not a big fan, even though he did teach it in MIT, and I did actually watch that tutorial, and he knows his stuff. Gary, he's been around a blockchain. So maybe this is a term for this, and you never know, it could break to the upside because of this. However, the recent trend reversal in terms of downwards, and also the fact that every 2 years we do see some sort of bullish movement. 1 out of every 2 of those moves are quite weak compared to the bull run that we experience. So we usually have a bull run plus 2 years and then a smaller move plus 2 years bull run. We can see we didn't really get one of those last time with XRP. It kind of just trended down all the way until the bull run. But if we go back before that, we can see that 2015 we had a move like this, which was sort of our mini bull run, if you want to call it, and then we had our real bull run 2017. Again, we didn't have this, but we saw it a lot in a lot of altcoins in 2019 where we had a bit of a revival, and a lot of people are arguing that this could be one of those sort of mini bull runs that we have that ultimately just tends down. I think we've potentially put in our local low for XRP this cycle. I don't think we'll go back below 30 cents on XRP. I don't think so. But to be brutally honest with you, we're not far away from it. We're 2x above our low, our cycle low anyway. I mean, it kind of depends where you want to count from the cycle. I usually count from the all-time high to all-time high. So for me, I'm going from here onwards. You could say that, I definitely don't think we'll revisit something like 20 cents. But again, it's nothing's impossible in crypto. For me, basically, what I want to point out is that leading up to this halving, it's been different for XRP. It's the first time that it's trended upwards into the halving. However, now we've seen a bit of a pullback, and it's actually started before this, a while before this 22-week bar that we have seen sometimes play out before. And we do see that, 22 weeks leading up to the halving, XRP does usually go down during this time. And funnily enough, actually, if we take a look, the halving week, XRP is lower than where it was 22 weeks before. And we can see that here as well. Like, you know, it's often the price 22 weeks before is higher than where it is on the halving week. And if we zoom in and go 22 weeks before, it could be possible that XRP does not go above this price. And that's at 62 cents. So I'm going to mark that very quickly. Excuse me. That's where, if the current hypothesis plays out again, if that happens, XRP will go across the halving below here. Now, that doesn't mean it couldn't go up to 61 cents over the next few weeks. I don't know. I'm just saying, if it's going to happen like anything else before, it's most likely going to be below this. But again, this is totally new. This is brand new, this trending upwards. And this sudden move shift to the downside is leading to a sort of a squeeze, which will result in very high or very strong price action from XRP, in my opinion. And again, I think it ultimately kind of goes back to where Bitcoin wants to go, but also where the altcoin space wants to go. Because we've seen now that even with Bitcoin performing well, altcoins will just do what they want to do without Bitcoin having to lead the way first, which is historically how it's done. So maybe we're coming into a bit of an unprecedented time and things aren't playing out like they have always. Maybe we're sort of marking new territory and altcoins are standing on their own feet a little bit during a time when they historically haven't. So yeah, that's about everything for the Bitcoin pair. Not the Bitcoin pair, the dollar pair. Now we're heading to the Bitcoin pair to take a look. And honestly, not too much to say. I mean, XRP again has kind of operated within a very stable range, and as time has gone on, that range has shrank, basically. And it goes back to that talk of reduced volatility over long periods of time. And, you know, when we did video on Litecoin, we saw this when we did a video on Monero. We saw this over time. These coins have less and less volatility, especially on their Bitcoin pairs. And the bigger difference with XRP is that it hasn't really trended down on its Bitcoin pair. We've seen a lot of these coins on their Bitcoin pair diminish. They lose value compared to Bitcoin as cycles go on. XRP has lost a lot of value to Bitcoin, but at the same time, this last cycle, since sort of basically the Bullrun 2020, 2021, it's stayed within a pretty solid range and it hasn't deviated from that. And if we zoom in even closer, you can see these sort of two supports and resistance that I drew. And that's where XRP has ultimately spent the median of its time in. And we can see we've broken down below again and we're coming down to this key support that XRP has bounced off once before and was also a resistance here at one point. So I would expect, to be honest, I would expect us to come back up to this support. I'm not saying we have to, but I would expect that. Just because we can see, like, throughout the last year and a half, every time XRP has gone above or below, it's retracted back into this range very quickly, with the exception of this one, which was up for a couple of months. But once it came back in, it went straight down to the bottom. And we saw that here as well. Once it broke above, it went straight down to the bottom. There wasn't any hanging around, just went straight down. However, when it breaks back to the upside, we often have a lot of time of nothing, and it could play out a similar way again, where we have just sort of oscillations within this range before we move to the upside again. What is interesting is that XRP does seem to go down, up, down, up, down. There doesn't seem to be any sort of down, 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 up, down, up. It's always one to the other on the Bitcoin pair, or that's what we've seen for the last year and a half. And that is a long trend for us to look at. It's realistically, it's not something that holds a huge amount of weight over its lifetime. And if we take a look at what XRP has done on its Bitcoin pair previously leading up to the halvings, we can see that it has basically always trended down. And it's basically trended down starting before the bull run, which is quite interesting, to be honest with you, when you think about it. So basically the year after the bull run, XRP trends down right up until the next bull run on its Bitcoin pair. And this isn't too unusual on altcoin Bitcoin pairs. We do see that most of the time altcoins just bleed against Bitcoin. And that's why I always say, if you want exposure to Bitcoin during the non-bull run years, hold it in Bitcoin, because you're exposed to the upside risk that Bitcoin has been doing. Like in 2023, Bitcoin went up something like 3x, just over, I'm pretty sure, which is a great return. And also you didn't have the exposure to the 95% drops that altcoins did back in 2022 and for the most of 2023. But again, we see that XRP traded down, kept trading down in the first halving as well, in the 2016 halving, traded down and continued to trade down after the halving on its Bitcoin pair. Here, traded down and continued to trade down again. Here we got a bit of a pinch, but nothing really came from it. But it is kind of good to be aware of the fact that we had a pinch and a rally up and then went even lower. So it's sort of doomed to fail on its Bitcoin pair in a way. And then when the bull run came along in 2021, XRP had a very small leg up, really. It basically reclaimed the value that it lost and then just traded sideways. And that's where we've been ever since the bull run. You know, early 2021, we've just been within this range. And to be honest with you, this bull run, I don't see too much different happening. We could see, potentially, a move like this play out again. Maybe later this year, XRP gets to another squeeze. You could definitely have a look at these sort of moves here and argue that there's got to be some squeeze coming along, or we could have another move to the upside, and then on our next move down, we generate a squeeze. Like if you want to draw these two levels here, something like this. And funnily enough, that did line up with our support and it broke below, just because the selling pressure and the move down was much stronger than the move up. But again, that doesn't always play out like that. Anything can happen. But it is interesting to see that we broke down below here. Maybe we'll see another squeeze like this happen where this guy will become our, I don't know, our trend and we'll move down. It's impossible to say, especially when speculating on specifics like this. But I do think it'll probably turn into something like this where we get some sort of a squeeze and a bump up. I mean, see, last time it did trend down and then it had a huge sudden revival. Here, it didn't, you know, it had its revival, but it wasn't that huge and it was basically retraced within the next few weeks. What do I expect for XRP to happen on its Bitcoin pair in the future? Not much, to be honest with you. I think it goes back to the diminishing returns, reduced volatility in the crypto space. And again, I think it's what Bitcoin ultimately set out to be in terms of XRP is a fast payment service, basically. That's its whole model. Banks are using it, you know, proprietary services of it, private versions that aren't public. They're using it to keep track of their transactions and all this stuff because it's fast enough, it can handle a lot of transactions. XRP has kind of become that, and it's stable in a way now. Again, if we go back to the USD pair, XRP has basically operated within a 2x range for well over a year and a half. I know that sounds mad in terms of, oh, that's stable cash. You know, 2x is not a stable range to be in. But again, for crypto, it is. It is kind of a stable range. It's very stable, to be honest with you. Over the course of a year and a half to only move, close to 2 years solid now. Like we can see, we came into here in June and, you know, we're January now, so a year and a half, but coming up to 2 years soon. XRP has only fluctuated 2x its price. Is quite stable in the crypto space. And again, I think it's what Bitcoin ultimately set out to be, something you can put your money in, send it to anybody, and you don't have to worry about it going to zero the next day. Which you wouldn't worry about it going to zero, but you'd, you know, potentially worry about it dropping 20% over a week or something like that. It's just very interesting. And again, I think I will make a video comparing a lot of these older altcoins together and see which one has maybe done the best. I have a feeling XRP will win, but I think it will be interesting to look at. So comment down below if you do want that, or if you just want other altcoins, maybe more obscure altcoins. We could take a look at a low cap, a medium cap, and a high cap altcoin compared. We can definitely make some interesting videos out of that. In terms of where I see XRP going in price, I want to say there is a chance XRP does put in a new all-time high, and I would only argue that or suggest that just because it is now not a security in America. And I feel like lots of big money looking to, you know, when they put money into Bitcoin and they make their money in Bitcoin and they want to put it into ETH and they make money with ETH, there might be quite a few that want to go one step further down the risk curve in hopes of higher returns and maybe put it into XRP. And I would only say XRP is because, again, it's cleared, it's not a security. Whereas ETH technically could be a security. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but in the eyes of the SEC, they could make a case for it being a security. God knows what that would do for the price. Again, whether you want to use it as an excuse or not for XRP, when it was labeled as a security by the SEC and the lawsuit began, its price was dampened all the time. And you can see, sorry, I'm actually being so stupid. Its actual all-time high is $3.50, but that was put back in 2017. So I can see us revisiting this all-time high, potentially. I think so. We don't have that, again, that weight that the SEC was putting on XRP. So there is a chance we move back up. There is a chance we move back up again. Again, this is where you get into very speculative territory, and the price is no longer driven by historic events and what's happened. It's driven by what you think other people are thinking. And that's when it becomes dangerous, and that's when it becomes, 4D chess. Basically, I think XRP will do well. If you're buying it before the halving, I think you'll be happy with where it is in 2025. Do I think you could get more gains somewhere else? Yeah, potentially. Probably most definitely, to be honest with you. There's always a crypto that's doing a 100x at some stage. But again, it's one of those higher cryptos that you can kind of be sure that isn't going to lose too much value, but also maybe isn't going to gain too much value. If you like exposure to risk, you might not want to pick up too much XRP. You might want to put it in something more speculative like Solana, Avalanche, Cardano, stuff like this. And again, I'm kind of waffling now, but at the end of this year, I would probably expect XRP to be somewhere back close to this $1 mark at the end of 2024. And whether it reaches that in October and retraces to 80 cents by December 2024, I don't know. I think we will probably push up to the $1 range during 2024 at some point. But again, that's a year away. Very hard to say stuff like this with certainty. But if you do look back at what has happened in terms of where it's gone after the halving, we see that XRP did move quite strongly, up 72% from where its halving was during one point at the same year. If we take a quick 72% move, and I'll just take it from here, a sort of random price, a 72% move would put it up about $1, just below, that's 75. But again, I do see that somewhat happening. Just under $1 range, basically, will be our high for the 2024 year. But I could be totally wrong. Again, there's no SEC pressure now, so XRP might move a lot more freely. Again, it's a lot older, higher market cap, harder to move the price of an asset that has a lot more money in it. It might move in an even less volatile way. I don't know. I literally don't know. You have to decide that for yourself. I think that about wraps up this video. I don't think there's much more I can say. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a dislike if you didn't like the video. It's all good feedback. Tell me if there's anything I did wrong or if there's anything I missed. And tell me in the comments below what video you want next. If you want an altcoin comparison video, let me know which alts you would like me to look at. Again, I'm leaning towards looking at a few of these older altcoins, XRP, Monero, Litecoin, and comparing them and see which did best over, certain time frames and bull runs. If that's something you're interested in, tell me. If you want a different comparison video, let me know. Anyway, thanks very much guys for watching. Always appreciate it as usual. Take care and peace.